Rebecca works in a large international company. One day, she comes back to the office from lunch and finds her colleagues extremely agitated. They hurry to tell the girl that someone knocked their HR manager out just an hour ago. The police have 3 suspects. Laura is an applicant. She says she was a bit angry with the HR manager. After all, he made her wait for ages, well past the time of her appointment. She stayed outside in the rain and probably caught a cold. And still, Laura says, I would never hit him. Plus, I'm too weak to do it. Gary, who works in the marketing department, claims he hasn't seen the HR manager since he arrived at work. He was having a meeting from the very morning till lunchtime. Jacob, from research and development, tells the police he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He's just come back. Who knocked the HR manager out? It was Jacob. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is it possible if it's raining outside? Jack is participating in a challenge. He's got to the last stage, which takes place in a desert. If he succeeds now, he'll win $1 million. Jack needs to get a key out of one of the 4 pots. On top of the first pot, there's a bowl filled with a strong acid. The second pot is covered with a bowl full of venomous spiders. In the bowl placed on the third pot, Jack sees a raging fire. A viper is curled up in the bowl covering the fourth pot. Jack isn't allowed to drop the bowls or turn them over. Which pot should he choose? The guy should choose the third bowl. He can put the fire out with the sand and get the key. Jacob is the owner of a small IT company. Larry is his subordinate, exceptionally talented and just as forgetful. More often than not, he seems to be lost in his head. Such things as going on a trip out of the blue without notifying anybody is typical for this genius. Normally, the boss turns a blind eye to Larry's quirks. But this time, an important business meeting is about to start. Jacob needs the data Larry has been working on, but the guy is nowhere to be found. He doesn't answer his phone, so no one can reach him. 1 hour before the meeting has to begin, Jacob can't wait any longer. He switches on Larry's computer, but it's password locked. The man tries some random combination of letters and numbers, but of course it's wrong. Suddenly, a tiny window appears on the screen. In this window, Jacob sees what seems to be a riddle. Little, late, late. After puzzling over it for a while, the man types something in the window and sees the home screen. The computer is unlocked. What has Jacob written? The answer to this rebus is too little, too late. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. The folder with the needed data is also protected by a password. When Jacob clicks on it, that's what he sees. Write backward all the numbers. Sounds like a tough task. Luckily, Jacob knows how Larry's brain works. He doesn't need much information to write the correct answer and, finally, get the information. What is the password? And there you have it. That's the phrase, all the numbers written backward. Camilla was terrified of dogs. One day she was jogging in the park and noticed a large dog sitting near the bench. It looked unfriendly. The leash attached to the dog's collar was 3 feet long. Camilla decided it would be safe to pass by if there was at least 7 feet of space between her and the pooch. But even being on a leash, the dog still managed to bite her. How come? Sadly, the leash wasn't tied to anything. David's company develops new apps for smartphones. Right now, he's looking for a designer. He's got hundreds of applicants, but has chosen just 3 of them. Angela's resume says, "I'm 23 years old. I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm a fast learner and have already designed similar applications." Helen wrote in her resume, "I'm 26 and have 4 years of work experience. You should hire me because I've created lots of TikTok stories that have gone viral." And Eric's resume claims he's 28 years old with 7 years of work experience. He's designed tons of apps. He's been working for Google since the company was launched. David can hire only one person, but it's okay because only one applicant hasn't lied in their resume. Who is it? Eric has just 7 years of work experience, but Google was officially launched in 1998. There are no stories on TikTok, meaning Helen couldn't create them. David hired Angela. Even though she hasn't been working that long, she's honest and has a nice portfolio. Kevin, a security guard in an amusement park, finds a boy standing near a roller coaster. The kid says his name's Nick. He doesn't know where his dad is. Kevin takes Nick to his office and makes an announcement. Soon after that, 2 men show up at the door. The first exclaims, "We were in a cafe, but after eating my burger, I felt so sick I had to spend almost 20 minutes in the bathroom. When I got out, Nick wasn't around. I was so worried." The other man interrupts him. "We rode a roller coaster together. Then I told Nick to wait there and went to get us some hot dogs." Which man is Nick's father? Nick is too small to ride the roller coaster, which means the second man is lying. The boy's dad is the unlucky guy with food poisoning. Aiden fell madly in love with a beautiful girl, Ella. He tried to spend all his time with her. The man bought her expensive presents and flowers, invited her to the best restaurants, organized yacht trips. They traveled the world, stayed in famous hotels, and went shopping for designer clothes. In less than a year, Aiden became a millionaire. How is it possible? Well, before meeting Ella, the guy was a billionaire. Carter had a fast and successfully developing company until his main investor went bankrupt. Carter was desperate. He went to visit his best friend Justin, a coffee shop owner. "Cheer up," Justin exclaimed. "One rich businessman visits my cafe almost every day. He's here today, too. He's very mysterious and doesn't have any social media accounts. Few people know about his wealth, but I do. Go and introduce yourself." Justin pointed toward the back of the coffee shop. Carter went there and saw 3 men. Uh-oh. He hadn't asked his friend which one was the wealthy entrepreneur. He looked at the men attentively. In no time, he figured out who was the one he needed. It isn't the guy in the middle. He has a $1 store bag. The one on the right could be rich, but he's recording an Instagram story. And the businessman isn't active on any social media. This means the man Carter needs is on the left. Carter was right. The guy turned out to be a billionaire. He was impressed with Carter's business, but before signing the papers, he mentioned one condition. Carter had to prove he was prepared for all kinds of stressful situations. The man had nothing to do but agree to the challenge. After that, Carter was taken to a remote house and left alone. He was locked in a large room with no windows and 3 doors. Suddenly, the ceiling started to go down. At the same time, the room began to fill with water. Carter knew that behind the first door there was a powerful whirlpool that would take him under the surface in no time. The second door was hiding a school of vicious piranhas. And behind the third one, there was a deep pit with sharp wooden spikes at the bottom. Which door should Carter choose to save his life? Carter picked the third door. Once the pit filled with water, he swam over the spikes and successfully escaped from the trap. When he returned to the office, the billionaire had already signed the contract. 3 friends agreed to hang out together on Friday night. One of them, Brian, was tasked with bringing pizza. But the guy was running extremely late. His friends were starving. Strangely, Brian wasn't picking up their calls. But in an hour or so, he sent them a selfie. In the photo, he was standing next to his car. In the following message, he wrote he had run out of gas. He was at a gas station tanking his car up. But his friends didn't believe Brian's excuses. Why? In the picture, it's clearly seen the guy's got an electric car. It doesn't need gas. Okay, bad news. You got taken. No time to explain. Let's just get out of here. So you find yourself in a dark cell with a dirt floor and a small window at twice your height. There's no food or water, but there's a shovel. Why did they leave the shovel? Don't ask me, I don't know. Just be happy you have it. However, you can't dig your way out because the walls go a long way underground. So, how do you get out? You can still dig and make a high dirt pile that will make you reach the window and get out of there. So you do just that and find yourself in a dark corridor. You have nothing to do but to go straight, hoping that sooner or later you'll find the exit and get out of this creepy place. Half an hour later, you approach a metal door. You have to enter the passcode, but here's a hint. Berlin, 600. Paris, 400. London, 600. Rome, 200. Toronto, what's the passcode? Each consonant in the word gives 200 points, while each vowel takes away 100 points. In the word Toronto, there are 4 consonants that give 800 together. 3 vowels take away 300 points. So the passcode is 500. The door clicks and you leave another obstacle behind. Soon, you approach 3 more doors. Behind the first one, there's an iron block with a movement sensor that will crush everyone who enters. Behind the second door, there's an electric shocker that never misses. Behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the floor. Which way do you choose? You pick the third door, obviously. You're wearing some boots, right? So, walking on the glass is definitely not going to be too hard of a task. You follow the tunnel till you reach the next room. As you step in there, a metal cage falls down from the ceiling and traps you inside. However, there are 3 buttons there. The red button will open the cage, but it'll also open a door with a hungry lion. The blue button will fill the cage with water for 10 minutes, and only then will it open the door. However, keep in mind that people can only live 7 minutes without oxygen. The green button will set the room on fire, but will open the cage door in 5 minutes. Which one do you choose? You should choose the blue button. The water won't be able to fill the cage because it will just splash outside. You'll only have to wait 10 minutes until the door opens, and you'll be able to get out safely. You turn right and immediately bump into a huge guard. Your heart skips a beat and you get paralyzed with fear. To your surprise, the guard looks down at you and asks, "Want to pass?" Speechless, you just nod. Okay. You see, no one here wants to play riddles with me. If you solve one of my riddles, I'll let you go and won't tell anyone I've seen you. Deal? You nod again, and here comes your riddle. What is that invention that lets you see right through walls? That's a window, of course. The guard smiles and says, "Beware of the vampires." Then he moves aside, letting you go. Wow, that was close. And vampires? This gives you chills. but you have to keep moving and get out. And again, another door that requires a passcode. Can you crack it? There's a hint again. You should continue the sequence. OTTFFSSENT. Each of these letters is the first letter of the numbers. O for 1, T for 2, T for 3, then 4, 5, and so on. The last stands for 10, so the next 4 are ETTF, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Yep, that's correct. The door clicks open. Move! You get into a huge dark room. All the light comes from the candles the room is filled with. The problem is that there are 4 ways, and again, you don't know which one to take. Suddenly, each of the doors opens and 4 people walk into the room. There are 2 men, 1 woman, and 1 teenage girl. They all say they're prisoners too, and the other 3 are vampires. Who do you trust? You should trust the second man. He's the only one who casts a shadow from the light of the candles. The other 3 don't, so they must be vampires. So you rush to the man and you shut the door behind yourself. It'll probably slow them down for a while. As you're running, the man tells you he's been here for at least 3 days. The next obstacle is something he couldn't solve by himself, so he couldn't get out. There's just one try, and if you fail, the exit gets blocked for 24 hours. Finally, you come across another door with a robot guarding it. To let you go, the robot needs you to say the password. The tricky thing is that the password is different each time. The man said that as he was hiding in the room, he saw the vampires passing it twice. The first time, the robot said 12, and the vampire said 6. The other time, the robot said 6, and the vampire said 3. When the man approached the robot the last time, the robot said 8. The man replied 4, but the robot didn't let him in. The door got blocked, so it wasn't the right answer. You nod and approach the robot. The robot says 4. What is your answer? The answer is 4. The rule isn't dividing the number by 2, but saying the number of letters in the word. Your answer is accepted. The robot opens the door and lets you go. Again, another dark room. But as you step into it, you get surrounded by 8 hungry dogs. In the middle, there's a meat cake standing so high on the table that the dogs can't reach it. To calm them down and make them your friends before they make you their dinner, you have to feed them the cake. But here's a tricky thing. The knife is magical and can only make 3 cuts. After 3 cuts, it disappears. Your task is to divide the cake into 8 equal pieces with these 3 cuts. How can you manage that? With 1 cut, you cut the cake in half and get 2 pieces. Then you make another perpendicular cut and get 4 pieces. With your last move, you have to cut the cake in the middle horizontally, splitting each of the 4 pieces into 2 at once. Great job! Now, give each of the dogs a piece of cake and get out of there immediately. You rush to the door and lock it behind yourselves. You're in a tunnel again, and this time there's no light at all. You move in complete darkness, putting your hand to the wall so that you know where to go. You walk like that for at least half an hour when, finally, you see some light. You run towards it and come across another massive door that requires a passcode. Luckily, there's a hint again, but there will be 2 questions appearing one by one. To get the passcode, you have to solve both of them and put the answers together. Ready? How many months have 28 days? All 12 of them, obviously. Okay, next one. Here's the sequence of letters. S, M, H, D, W. What are the other 2 letters? S stands for seconds, M for minutes, H for hours, D is for days, W is for weeks. So the next letters are M for months and Y for years. And the full passcode is 12MW. The door clicks and you're outside. Finally! There's actual air and sun. But before you start thinking about what happened and what to do next, a police officer comes up to you. With him, there are two ladies wearing paper bags over their heads. "Sir, are you Mr. Jones?" the police officer asks. You reply, "That's you exactly." However, the police officer looks suspicious. "Well, we can't know for sure that you're not one of these criminals pretending to be someone else, so we have to test you. One of these ladies is your bride. Tell us which one it is." And now, you finally remember what happened. It was your wedding morning. You were about to get married, and then you found yourself in that dungeon. Well, the problem is that you haven't seen your wife-to-be wedding dress yet, so you can't even tell which one is the right one. Is there any other way to tell? Think carefully. With their faces covered, these girls are absolutely identical. You didn't need much time. You notice that one of the girls is wearing a wedding ring already. However, you and your bride aren't married yet, so she's not supposed to have one. And the one who doesn't have it is yours. Congratulations! The girl removes the bag, and you see that it's really her. Right behind you, the door opens and the vampires walk out. You're about to start screaming, but they take off their wigs and they turn out to be your friends. So, was it all a prank? Well, yeah, it was. But don't be mad. You had fun, right? Well, most of the time.